So months ago, I came across a title that definitely was appealing to me. And this is probably because I'm from that age where we grew up playing the Oregon Trail. And when I saw this was called the Oregon Trail, I thought that was pretty funny and a good play on words. And it definitely set me up for a different film than I got. So, hearing that title, I was expecting some kind of silly-ish slasher, maybe monster movie set in the Old West, and that is definitely not what I got out of this film. This is actually a pretty serious Western revenge tale, and while horror, I think, can be applied here because of the villain in the ending, I would more classify this as a Western thriller or a Western, yeah, like a revenge thriller. So essentially, this girl is taken after. I don't want to give away too much. All I'll say is that it deals with revenge and these outlaws who are up to no good. Um, I was actually really surprised by this one. I was not expecting it to be the quality that it was. I thought that for a Western and it being low budget, I thought that the performances were actually really solid. I thought that the writing was pretty good. I thought that the characters were absolutely like likable and relatable, and I 1000% was rooting for them, and I was invested and wanted them to succeed. And so I that actually really took me by surprise because this is one, because of the title, and that's, never judge a book by its cover, never judge a movie by its title, I suppose. Um, I The only thing that I would have liked to have seen would have been maybe a little bit more of a payoff. I wouldn't even say a payoff. So there's a limited number of villains, and something happens that brings their numbers down, and it makes sense to the film for sure. I just think that it made it a little anticlimactic and took out some of the potential action and catharsis that this film could have went for, but it chose to go in a more like grounded route, which I actually kind of commend. Albeit, my previous complaints, seeing the film as a whole now, because that was really where what I was feeling towards the end. But then we actually get more to the ending than I thought I was getting. And with that, I actually ended up being satisfied enough. I still stick by, I wish there had been a few more villains and a little bit more catharsis through the way of revenge. But I, yeah, I'm kind of surprised. This one is currently streaming on Paramount Plus and Showtime. And if you're into Western thrillers and you don't mind a little bit lower of a budget, this one actually might surprise you. It's well acted. It's got some, not super surprising turns, but some surprising turns to it. I actually think it's a pretty good movie. So yeah, this was definitely much different than I was expecting, and I did really like our main characters, the girl who's set out for revenge, the man that she meets and his family. I really liked him. I really liked his family. I really cared about the other character that she's kind of back and forth with. I thought all that stuff was done really well. Um, and it absolutely felt like a Western. It just didn't have the budget exactly, but I think they did a great job with what budget they had. And I think everyone was great in this. Like, for what it is, this is way better than I would have expected. So a pretty big surprise, honestly, for the year. Not going to make my top 10 or anything, but absolutely one of the bigger surprises because of my own stupid, like, preconceived ideas with a title. So I think the title kind of hurts this movie to a degree because you see that and I think your first initial thought is going to be like, oh, this is going to be a silly horror movie, and it's not. Um, it very much plays out like a classic, traditional, like Western revenge thriller. So, yeah, I mean, I am a fan of those types of movies, and I am glad that I watched this. So I can recommend it to anybody who sounds like that's your thing. And then the villains in this are they're kind of stock to a degree, but there is like the main villain, and what ends up happening with him and a condition that he has and how it all how it all comes to a head. I actually really liked that, and the ending of that actually felt pretty satisfying. And the closing line with that, I actually was like, okay, that's cool. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this one for sure. So definitely check it out if you have access to it. If you're a fan of low budget westerns. So let me know, guys. All right, bye.